Hi guys, my name's Wayne Quinton. I just want to talk to you about how professional property investors take the profit from property tax efficiently. Let me show you first of all how this can be done. If we look at the slide and let's assume we purchased a house for £100,000. Right, so we're going to buy a £100,000 house, which is here. We'd have to get a mortgage for £75,000 and get a deposit of £25,000. Does that make sense? So that's a £100,000 house with a mortgage of £75,000 and a deposit of £25,000. Does that make sense? Now let's assume the market goes up 20%. Now immediately in people's heads, different people have different thoughts. A lot of people think house prices never go up 20%. You're making it up, you're lying. So bear with me and let's assume it goes up 20%. It doesn't matter if it takes 2 years, 5 years or 7 years. Now if house prices have gone up 20%, then the £100,000 house will now be worth £120,000. Now, if it's worth £120,000, then we can go back to the bank and say, hey bank, can I please borrow 75% of the new value of the house, which would be £90,000 mortgage. The bank will say, yes, you can, but your mortgage payments will go up. You'll need to reply, that's fine, because I've put my rents up each year between 3 and 5%. So I can afford the extra mortgage payments, no problem. Now, this isn't on the slide, but you have to understand for this to work, you must always put rents up between 3 and 5% every year. Then the bank will go, that's fine. Then yes, you can borrow the extra money. Now you go and borrow for £90,000. You pay off the £75,000 mortgage that you had. And now you release £15,000 into your bank account. This is money that you would have borrowed, but it's now in your bank. Does this make sense? Once you start to understand this piece, what I want you to understand is the 3 key things I want you to get. The first thing I want you to get is even though we've borrowed more money, the equity has gone up. Because people have got this silly fear in the back of their heads. If I borrow more money, then the equity will go back or something. So purchase 25, 20%, it goes up 20%, it goes up to 30,000, to 36, to 43. So if you were to sell the property, by the way, don't, you would have more equity than you started with. Now if you look into the future, the property continues to go up in value, so does the equity, just as we said before. The second thing I want you to get, and this should start to make you smile, is what is called the compound effect. And this is unbelievable. Let me show you. The compound effect, when it goes up 20% the next time, the 20% is now 20% of £120,000, not 20% of £100,000. So this time it goes up £24,000, taking the value of the property to 144. But next time it goes up 20%, it'll go up £28,000. It's an inflation-proofed increase. Does that make sense? I can't see you smiling. You should be. What that means is the release of funds is an inflation-proofed, and it goes up by £24,000. Then that means you can release £18,000. If it goes up £28,000, it means you can release £21,600, which is there. It's inflation-proof release. The third thing I want to point out on this page is the release is tax free. tax free, more borrowing, no tax to pay. So when you get it back out, it's tax free because further borrowing is from the bank. Does that make sense? So now we've talked this piece through, and now you understand this, what I want you to imagine is you have two of these properties, or imagine you started with two of these. So you would release 15 from property 1 and another 15,000 from property 2, giving you £30,000 of releases. Guess what? This is enough money to purchase property number 3. So you've released money from property 1 and you've released money from property 2. You've put this together and you now have money for property 3. Does this make sense? Now you have got 3 properties. You only need the market or the houses to go up 13% each because there's 3 of them, not 2. What this means is when they go up 13% each, when they go up 13% each, you can release enough money for property number 4. If you've got 4 of these properties, then you only need them to go up by 10% each to release and buy property number 5. 5, you need to go up 8% each to buy property number 6. 6 to go up 7% to get number 7, and 7 to go up 6% to get number 8. By the time you've got 8 properties and the market just goes up by 5% a year on average, you're buying 1 property a year. 8 properties going up 5% per annum and you're buying 1 property a year. Now let's have a look at table number 2. Let's imagine that we're 10 years from now. Now, if you keep doing what I just taught you for the next 10 years and the market went up at 5% per year, you would actually have 9 houses. That is step 1 of this explanation. Let's imagine we're 10 years from now. The market's gone up 5% per year. You would have been able to grow your 2 houses to 9 houses. The second part of the message is, for those 9 houses, if they started off being worth 100 grand, even without compounding, they would be worth 150 grand at 5% a year for 10 years. So the 9 houses are worth 1.4 million now. The first step, you have £1 million worth of mortgages, which is good debt. We'll speak about this in another video, but this is good debt. Somebody else is paying for it, the tenants. I will show you why. So step 3, you have £1 million worth of debt, which is mortgages, which is this is good debt because the tenants are paying for it and it makes you money on top. Step 4, you've got 350 grand of equity in your portfolio where you originally started with 25. So that's your equity in your portfolio now. So if you sell up now, by the way, don't, you would have 350 grand of equity to release. Does that make sense? Right, step 5. Let's assume now the market goes up 5%. Looking at the statistics or see the video on the house price data, properties on average go up 7.9% over the last 85 years. So we're now being conservative, just modelling at 5% growth. So if it does go up 5%, let's have a look at what happens. Step 6. So if your properties have gone up by 5%, they are now worth 1.47 million as opposed to 1.4 million. That's an increase of £70,000 in 1 year. Step 7. which means you can go back to the bank and you can say, hey bank, can I borrow 75% of the increase? The bank says yes, you can if you put your rents up, which we have. Step 8, so you're able to increase £52,000. So you're able to release £52,000 tax free, which is here, tax free. So that is 52 grand in your bank, so you can go back to buy some more properties like you did the year before and the year before that. Step 9, or what we're doing is exactly the same as before, releasing funds. Or you can say, you know what, I don't want to buy any more houses, I don't need any more than 52 grand a year. What I would say is, do as you did before, release the money. Instead of buying another house, you could spend it on a holiday, spend it on a car. In fact, you could quit your job and live off it. Most importantly, step 10, you can live off it. Why don't you do that? Does that make sense? You know what? If it goes up 5% a year after, it's a bigger increase because of a compound effect, like I explained before. Now you can release 55,000 tax free, and the year after that 58,000 tax free. I can't see you smiling. Does that make sense? Why wouldn't you do that? Why? On top of that, you will have the rental profit, making you a couple of grand per property, taking you to over 70 grand a year. Who likes the idea of that? If this is helpful, please like and share, and please subscribe. Thank you.